हरे
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Nandkumar Prabhu Danvatana, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Let's start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshitarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Okay, so let's continue with our prayer of this week, Palamukundashtakam. Anybody would like to try singing today? Meenu Mataji, you want to try?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm pulling it up on my computer, so give me 1 second.
Sure.
Is it by KK Snows, right?
Yeah, I posted the link in the chat and also I'm sharing the screen.
We're reading the whole, reciting the whole song.
8 stanzas are there, 8 verses.
Stanzas. Okay, so please forgive me for my mistakes because I've not read this before, but I've heard it before. So
yes, no problem.
Padairvindena padairvindam Mukhairvinde viniveshayantam Vatasya patrasya put eshayanam Balam mukundam manasa smarami Samruddhya lokan vatpapadmatye Shayana madhyanta vihinad Sarveshwaram sarva ahitattvaratvaram Balam mukundam manasa smarami Indviraya asmayala komalangam Indradvicharita padapadam Santa kalpadarumamam ashritanam Balam mukundam manasa smarami Lambalakam lambhita ashriyatam Shrungara lila ankita dantapantgim. Sorry. Bimbabadharam charuvisla vishal antaram Balam mukundam manasa smarami Sikhe nithaya pipayo dadahini Bahirgatya Vrajayanikayam Bhukta Vayasthet Tamka Patenushupatvam. Sorry, Prabhuji, you want to take over from 5? Sorry.
No, please continue. That's okay.
Okay. Balam Mukundam Manasa Smarami Kali Jalastheta Kali Ayasya Fanagranaranginitantrapriyantam Taptaparuchashashtam Saradinduvakritam Balam Mukundam Manasa Smarami Ulukhale Badhamudra Suryam Utangayum Gam Arjuna Bangalilam Utfula Apadamaya Tacharunantram Balam Mukundam Manasa Smarami आलोक्यामात् मुखामादरेण सन्तायं पिबन्तं सरशिरुकाश्कम् अक्षम् सचिमायमं देवमम् अन्तररूपं बालं मुकुन्दं मनसा स्मरामि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुकुंदमाला स्तोत्रम की जय sorry my sincere apologies Prabhuji
बाल मुकुंद अष्टकम की जय। श्री बिलोमंगल ठाकुर की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। मीनू माता जी की जय। हरे कृष्णा। That's okay. Yes, this is like a mother singing, right? Krishna, what can जैसे हम बोलते हैं भगवान को क्या दे सकते हैं? Everything belongs to the Lord. We can only give our love and devotion. So you sang with love and devotion. It's not the mistakes that counts, it's the how that counts. So just like Lord becomes a small baby for his mother and for his devotees. So like that he's just sweetly smiling as we were singing. Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody would like to read the translations?
I can read Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
I meditate on that infant Mukunda Krishna who is sleeping on the leaf of a banyan tree with the lotus-like foot placed in his lotus-like mouth with his lotus-like hand. I meditate on that infant Mukunda who is sleeping holding all the worlds together on the leaf of a banyan tree in such form, which has no beginning or no end. He is the incarnation of God for the welfare of all mankind and the Lord of all. I meditate on Bal Mukunda in my heart, who has a delicate body like a blue lotus and whose foot is worshipped by all the gods and Indra, etc. He is the wish-fulfilling tree for those who take refuge in him. I meditate on that Bal Mukunda in my heart, who has hanging curls and hanging necklaces, a beautiful row of teeth which are shown playfully. His lower lip is as red as bimba fruit and has beautiful wide eyes. I meditate on that Bal Mukunda in my heart, who pretended as if he was sleeping, having eaten the yogurt to his contentment from the hanging pots of the gopis when they had gone out. I meditate on Bal Mukunda, whose beautiful face resembles the autumn moon and is dancing happily on the hood of the serpent Kaliya, holding its tail with his hand in the Kalinda pond. I meditate on Bal Mukunda with beautiful eyes like the petals of a full-bloom lotus, and who with great valor broke the pair of tall Yamala Arjuna trees, even though he was tied to a mortar. I meditate on Bal Mukunda, God filled with Sat and Chit, that is, infinite consciousness of infinite divine form, the lotus-eyed one who has cast his looks at his mother's face with affection while drinking milk from her breast. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Anand and Gopika Mataji.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So yes, as we're continuing reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrit, here we are meditating on Lord Mukunda, Bala Mukunda. And Prabhupada was meditating on a beautiful form of Krishna, Radha Madhav, yesterday. And we're seeing Prabhupada in this chapter 33, covering a lot of ground to be covered. Prabhupada is currently in Gorakhpur, right? And he's at the Krishna Niketan that has been offered so lovingly by another saint from Grihastashram, Anupan Prasad Poddar of the Gita Press, Gorakhpur. His Krishna Niketan, which is where Prabhupada and his disciples have made a ISKCON temple of Sri Sri Radha Madhav now, as Prabhupada sang the prayers. So like as we sing these prayers of our acharyas, it is good that, that we see that how Prabhupada had the same mood of always singing these prayers of the predecessor acharyas, right? So this is Bhakti Vinod Thakur Jai Radha Madhav that we all sing before we start any Hari Katha. And Prabhupada is so lovingly teaching his disciples each and every word of that song, of that bhajan. So that is the same mode that we should have. That, like Prabhupada also said, it's always the mode that we serve in the Guru Parampara and not directly jump over, like the other boy Niranjan Prabhu who was initiated a few days ago was asking that what is my mood or what is my sarup in the spiritual world. So Prabhupada is clarifying that we all start with seva. Service is the common denominator. And here we serve our Guru Maharaj, and who provides it to his Guru Maharaj and to his Guru Maharaj, and that way it goes to Krishna. So that should be the bhav. So by reading these prayers, by singing these prayers, we are trying to reach the Lord through our Guru Parampara. Okay, so we'll continue from here. Yes, I will always ask if anybody would like to read. If not, then I can continue. All right. ISKCON's Bombay headquarters was a 4-room flat on the 7th floor. So now Prabhupada has left Gorakhpur yesterday and now he's going to Bombay. So ISKCON's Bombay headquarters was a 4-room flat on the 7th floor of the Akash Ganga building. Rent was nearly 3,000 rupees a month, and the devotees had no guaranteed monthly income. Yet, because the building was in a vital, prestigious location, Prabhupada had taken the risk. Such a headquarters would be a necessary base for the preaching he wanted to do in Bombay, and his next preaching would be a grand 11-day Pandal program. If you are going to hunt, Prabhupada said, then you should hunt for a rhinoceros. In that way, if you don't succeed, everyone will simply say, oh, it couldn't be done anyway. But if you do succeed, then everyone will be surprised. Everyone will be amazed. As Prabhupada revealed his plans for a gigantic Pandal festival, the devotees became keenly aware that Prabhupada's inspiration was motivating all their preaching. Without him, they could never attempt anything so bold and ambitious as a giant Pandal festival in Bombay. Often, the American and European disciples had been billed along with him, as if of equal importance, but the devotees saw themselves as only foolish servants trying to help the genuine pure devotee of the Lord. Although Prabhupada credited his disciples knew that Prabhupada was Krishna's empowered representative. He was their authority and personal link to Krishna. His words and actions evinced full transcendental potency. As Krishna was unlimited, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna's dearmost friend, was entitled to demand unlimited service on Krishna's behalf. In the service of Krishna, no project was impossible. Impossible, Prabhupada said, was a word in a fool's dictionary. But as Prabhupada unfolded his plans for the Pandal festival, the devotees doubted. How could they ever raise the money? How could they erect such a huge tent? Where would they get so much food? And who would cook it? Prabhupada seemed amused at their doubts. You are all Americans, he said. So what is the use of being American unless you do something wonderful? A Bombay Pandal, Prabhupada said, would be the perfect way to link America's ingenuity with India's spirituality. He gave the example of a blind man and a lame man. Although separately they are helpless, by cooperating, the blind man carrying the lame man on his shoulders and the lame man giving directions, the two can work successfully. America, because of materialism and ignorance of God, was blind, and India, because of foreign invasions, poverty, and misinterpretations of Vedic knowledge, was lame. America had technological advancement and wealth, and India had spiritual knowledge. The job of the Krishna consciousness movement was to combine the two strengths and uplift the world. And one practical application would be the Bombay Pandal Festival. Prabhupada divided the work, assigning Shyam Sundara to publicity, Tamal Krishna to the Pandal arrangements, Giriraj to fundraising, and Madhu Dvisha to the scheduled programs on stage. Catching Prabhupada's spirit of shooting the rhinoceros, Shyam Sundara organized a massive publicity campaign with giant posters and banners strung across the streets announcing His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada will speak in English language about the science of God. Prasadam distribution and bhajan singing will be led by his American and European bhaktas. Hare Krishna Festival at Cross Maidan, March 25th to April 4th. Giriraj Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada took Bombay by storm. The whole city was alive with excitement about the Hare Krishna festival. We had banners at all the major intersections in Bombay. We had posters up on all the walls, many posters on every wall, and we had very big advertisements in the newspaper with a beautiful picture of Srila Prabhupada superimposed over a globe and the words, Bhagavad Dharma Discourses, a Hare Krishna festival. World preacher of Bhakti cult, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Day by day, the momentum grew more and more, and every day something new was happening. Finally, in the last 2 days, we got a huge billboard at Victoria train station, the busiest intersection of downtown Bombay. By then, everyone knew so much about the festival and where it was going to be, and everything that all this billboard said was Hare Krishna in huge letters. By then, everyone knew. So, just these two huge words, Hare Krishna, was enough. Then Shyam Sundara had arranged for a big helium-filled balloon that was attached to a very long rope at the Cross Maidan site. That balloon just hovered over the city, and there was a streamer attached to the balloon saying Hare Krishna Festival. It was real American ingenuity, flair, and dynamism. Inspired by Shyam Sundar's lead and taking up a spirit of competition, the other devotees worked at their projects with great enthusiasm. When Prabhupada called a meeting of the local ISKCON life members and supporters, the turnout was disappointing. Only about a dozen. And even those, on hearing the proportions of Prabhupada's plan, became hesitant. The festival would cost more than 100,000 rupees. Although some life members doubted whether the devotees could actually execute such a large production, a handful of stalwarts, Sadaji Vatlal, Chandulal Bal, Kartikeya Mahadevia, Kailash Seksaria, Ramchand Chabria, G.D. Somani, and others vowed they would do their best to help raise the funds. Prabhupada remained actively involved, and he warned his disciples to be wary of cheaters during their business transactions. Every night, the devotees would report to him, and he would ask about many details. He wanted the best location, the best work, and the best price. He wanted to know everything. What about the cooking area? Are all the devotees working to their full capacity? Is the mailing list complete? Have the invitations been sent? What about the latrines? What was the cost for the sound system? He scrutinized every detail with sharp, critical intelligence. Giriraj's fundraising work was going well. He had donations solicited from businessmen and had printed a souvenir pamphlet. But he was feeling a strain, and he came to Prabhupada for solace. Can we use force in Krishna consciousness? He asked. Prabhupada frowned. No, we cannot use force. But what if we see one of the workers is lazy on the job and not doing what he's supposed to? No, Prabhupada replied. We can never use force. Well, what about in making life members? Force we cannot use, Prabhupada repeated. But we can trick them. He told a story about a boy who didn't want to do arithmetic. As soon as the teacher wrote 1 plus 1 on the board, the boy would bark. So the teacher drew a picture of a cow on the board and asked the boy, if a man has one cow and then he buys another cow, how many cows will he have? The boy answered, 2. Thus the teacher began teaching him arithmetic even though he was unwilling to learn. So people may be averse to serving Krishna, Prabhupada explained, but we can trick them and get them to serve without their knowing it. But we can never use force. These people are all businessmen. They are always calculating profit and loss, but they are also pious and they want to go to Krishna. So you have to convince them that by giving this money, they will gain so much by coming closer to Krishna. And that is the truth. When they are convinced, then they will give. Prabhupada had ordered from Jaipur 2 sets of large white marble deities, paid for by a donation from R.D. Birla. One set was to be installed in the Bombay temple, and the other worshipped at the Pandal and later sent to one of the temples in the west. But the devotees were anxious that the deities be finished and shipped on time. And there were other sources of anxiety, right up until the very day of the festival. Pandal construction, prasadam distribution, seating arrangements, sound systems, whether these things would be ready on time and whether there would be enough money remained uncertain. But under Prabhupada's direction, the devotees worked steadily with firm faith in Krishna. And all turned out successful, with 10,000 people attending the first day and 20,000 that night. The devotees, including those just arrived from the west, numbered about 100, and the large stage easily accommodated them, with ample space for dancing kirtans. On stage, within a gorgeous golden domed altar surrounded by profuse flower arrangements, stood Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada's large red Vyasasan, covered by a canopy, stood at stage center. Also, on stage was a display of Prabhupada's books. The tall and spacious pandal, built to hold more than 30,000, was lined with fluorescent bulbs, and the stage glowed with colorful, flashing lights. The program was Kirtan, Prashadam, a lecture, and slides. More Kirtan and more Prashadam. And the Bombayites, devotees at heart, despite the sophistication and westernization, loved these very things. Radha and Krishna, Kirtan and Prashadam. And that all this was being presented by Westerners made the pandal especially attractive. The cooks prepared Prashadam at the pandal site, cooking over a hard coal fire and using big paddles to stir khichdi and halwa in woks 8 feet across. Each night the devotees would serve thousands of plates. Prabhupada's appearance in the evening was always the high point. He would sit on his Vyasasan. Little Saraswati would walk out and garland him, and the crowd would cheer. He would wait for the crowd to quieten, which never happened. So he would just begin speaking, his voice ringing over the powerful sound system. He titled his first lecture, Modern Civilization is a Failure, and the only hope is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada sat, eyes half closed in concentration, addressing the largest audience that had ever assembled to hear him. His speaking was particularly forceful as he glorified Krishna and criticized the enemies of Krishna. He spoke against governments that were not Krishna conscious and against gurus who neglected the worship of Krishna. He stressed the necessity of teaching Krishna's message to the whole world, while his godbrothers from the Bombay Gaudiya Math sat in the audience listening respectfully. And you are practically seeing that all over the world, these Bhagavad Gita principles, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is being accepted. All these boys and girls who are dancing in Krishna consciousness 4 years ago, 4 years back, they never heard of Krishna. Of course, some of them knew Bhagavad Gita because Bhagavad Gita is very widely read. But because Bhagavad Gita was not properly presented, although for the last 100 or 200 or more than that years, Bhagavad Gita is widely read all over the world, there was not a single Krishna Bhakta. But since Bhagavad Gita is being presented as it is, within 4 years, there are hundreds and thousands of Krishna Bhaktas. That is our point, that you present the thing as it is, without any adulteration. So, it is our mission. It is India's culture. People are hankering after this culture, Krishna culture. So, you should prepare yourself to present Bhagavad Gita as it is. Then India will conquer all over the world by this Krishna culture. Rest assured. But we are hankering after help from others. Our government men go there in America. Please give us wheat. Please give us money. Please give us soldiers. Simply begging business. But here is a thing which you can give to them. Simply begging does not glorify your country. Giriraj Maharaj. Prabhupada was preaching forcefully to the people of Bombay, and every evening the pandal was packed with at least 20,000 people. Srila Prabhupada would preach so strongly, emphasizing following religious principles. He knew that these people are Hindus, but they are not following these principles. Prabhupada was speaking so powerfully that I knew that what he was saying would be hard for many of the audience to accept. We have something to give to the whole world. That is Krishna consciousness. When you neglect this treasure of Vedic knowledge, why you neglect this treasure of Vedic knowledge? And the summarized knowledge is Bhagavad Gita. So if we simply try to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, we understand immediately the science of God. And because we are all parts and parcels of God, we are actually hankering after uniting with God. That is our seeking. Anandamayo Bhyasat. God is Anandamaya, by nature, full of pleasure. And we, being part and parcel of God, or Krishna, we are also Anandamaya. But we are seeking Ananda, pleasure, in a different atmosphere, in the material atmosphere. Therefore, we are being baffled. The only remedy is that you take to Krishna consciousness and you will be happy. So it is the duty of every Indian to understand this science. Giriraj Maharaj. At that time, I was thinking that if Prabhupada had wanted to flatter the audience or compromise his philosophy, he could have attracted millions of followers. But because he was preaching so boldly and forcefully without compromise, many of the audience did not like it because it was a challenge to their sense gratification and to their sentiment. This is a science. It is not a dogmatic bluffing thing. It is a science and spoken by the Lord himself and understood by all the acharyas. Krishna says, Acharya Pasanam. We have to understand things through the acharyas. Acharyavan Purusho Veda. One who is not following the footsteps of the acharyas, he cannot understand anything. Krishna also says, Tad Vijnanartham. That is said in the Kathopanishad. Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Evavi Gachet. Krishna says, Tad Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. So everywhere the same instruction is there. You approach a person who is coming in disciplic succession. Evam Parampara Praptam. and try to learn Bhagavad Gita as it is. Your life will be sublime. Your life will be successful. That is our mission. Giriraj Maharaj. The fact is that people were wild about Prabhupada and ISKCON. One night we showed slides of the Rath Yatra in San Francisco, and the audience was going wild. In front of 10,000 people, Prabhupada announced that we will hold Jagannath Rath Yatra in Bombay, and everyone started to cheer and applaud. Day after day, the Pandal festival was a success. Bombay's most important citizens came and were impressed. White shirted businessmen and their well groomed wives joined in the chanting. 400s of thousands of Bombay citizens coming to the Cross Maidan to attend an evening Pandal program was, was easy enough. Some were intent on listening to the lecture and inquiring deeply into devotional service. Others came mostly to see the deity, take prasadam, or appreciate the kirtan. In any case, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and the Hare Krishna devotees were a refreshing addition to the life of the city. It was the biggest public event in Bombay. One evening, Prabhupada conducted a Vedic marriage ceremony and an initiation before thousands of people. The marriage was arranged between Vegavan, who was Swedish, and Padmavati Dasi, who was Australian. They completely enchanted the whole audience. She with her ornate red sari and Indian jewelry, including a nose ring, and he with his nice white dhoti and kurta and clean shaven head. 6 brahmacharis were initiated at that time also. Giriraj Maharaj. The audience was impressed. First of all, they were amazed just to see foreign devotees, foreign sadhus. Then, on top of that, to see them being initiated, and even more than that, being married in front of 10,000 people. It was overwhelming. So, during the ceremony, as Srila Prabhupada made the boy and girl husband and wife, he mentioned that she was from Australia and he was from Sweden. Then Srila Prabhupada said, "This is the real United Nations." And everyone burst into applause. It was the most glamorous, wonderful program. The final night of the festival, the devotees carried the deities of Radha and Krishna in a palanquin to the seaside. Prabhupada spoke and held kirtan before a crowd of 25,000. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll pause here. Yes, wonderful. So we see, there's always variety in spiritual world, in Krishna consciousness. Each one is unique, right? And how Prabhupada nicely is again teaching his disciples and engaging them in different services. Somebody is good at marketing, somebody is good at fundraising, somebody is good at organizing, somebody is good at cooking, right? And the people that are coming, the audience, also there is variety. And Prabhupada is not forceful. Prabhupada's philosophy was never watered down. It was always concentrated as it is, as it has come from Parapara. But he saw the audience also were varied, right? Some came just for darshan and prasadam, some came for hearing the katha, some were really interested in the philosophy. So there is always variety, and we should respect that. And we see again, Prabhupada, how nicely he's continuing to keep the message and preach the message boldly, but acknowledging that there is going to be variety. But it's also good that he's targeting this is like mass propagation in India. Of course, India and population is so large as compared to Western countries. So Jaisa Desh, Vaisa Besh, like Prabhupada is preaching according to the time, place, and circumstances. In Western world, he himself, he showed again by his humility, he was willing to learn their ways. He was willing to learn how a vacuum cleaner works, how the shopping malls are. So he used to go there to shop and bring vegetables, do everything on his own. Of course, getting help from his disciples, devotees there a little bit. But here, now that he's back in familiar territory, he knows the ground. He knows what will be accepted, what will not be accepted, but doesn't matter. But he knows that population is so much that he's conducting these large pandal programs, inviting hundreds of thousands of people in one go, right? So that is the vision of a pure devotee, an empowered acharya. They know exactly what needs to be done, when and how. Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything? Marriage program? This kind of unheard of, unseen, right? Western disciples, one Swedish, one Australian, being initiated and being married in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So this is the true United Nations, like Prabhupada says. Okay, anybody else would like to say anything? Anandani Gopika Mataji, anything you'd like to share? Your Guru Maharaj is so nicely teaching us by his own example, right? So, like we see Prabhupada corrected them, right? But this is what, 50 years ago, right? So, again, we see the sincerity and their dedication to their spiritual master, right? He corrected them, but that didn't let them feel like, they were um, anything less, right? They always felt like, Prabhupada's love, even in those corrections. There's the same mood with all our Acharya, all our Guru Parampara currently, they all were chastised, they were corrected by Prabhupada, right? But the mood that they had of surrender to their Guru, that is what made them what they are today. They are glorified because of this mood of humility, the mood of surrender, complete surrender to their Guru Maharaj, following his instructions. Like I was remembering my Guru Maharaj and Giriraj Maharaj, that quote, famous quote, and Gopal Krishna Maharaj says that Giriraj Maharaj and Gopal Krishna Maharaj, they were operating together in Bombay sometimes, and there were differences of opinions, but they all worked together in cooperative spirit. And Guru Maharaj said that Giriraj Maharaj and I are like Vedic couple. We will have differences of opinions, but there is no question of divorce. So such sweetness in their mood and their achar, the way they conducted themselves for 50 years after Prabhupada's passed. So Hare Krishna.
Very beautiful. Yes, Prabhu, it's very, very nice. The bold preaching comes from here. So I think subsequently we will also probably be reading the Chennai or the Madras at that time Pandal program, and then how His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj preached boldly, and a lot of people within and outside of had objection, like, why do you have to say negative for others? Just promote your own philosophy. And then he gets affirmation from various sources that what he was doing, preaching boldly, was the right way and was the mood of Prabhupada. So that just gives me confirmation too, that sometimes we kind of mellow down or settle down and just to wrap it up in a nice package, other philosophy. But what it is we should present it as it is. That's the message. We have to be bold, courageous, because we are presenting Krishna. So that is what we should follow. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else would like to say anything? Anything that you liked from today's reading? Suchita Mataji, thank you for joining consistently. You're at your college studying, but also joining for these morning readings. We couldn't meet you on Saturday for the Janmashtami. I know you were there, but hopefully in the near future. Okay, so there's nothing else, then we'll probably wrap it up here for today. Thank you so much for your kind association, as always. We conclude with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrind ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Have a great day, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.